Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be doing a comparison between the Lincoln Aviator and then the Ford Explorer. I know a lot of you got upset because I made so many comparisons to it. Well, now we get a whole video dedicated to comparing the two vehicles to each other. First and foremost, I'm going to do kind of like a walk around, but I'm going to be going from vehicle to vehicle with that walk around portion so we can compare both of them. And then we're going to sum everything up with which vehicle I kind of feel like is a better value and overall how similar these two vehicles actually are. And then, as always, a big shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Ford Lincoln here in Draper, Utah for providing us with the vehicles. If you aren't on the market for new Ford, check these guys out. I will put a link to their inventory in the description below where you can pick up this Aviator and this Explorer ST, but let's just get right into the video. Oh, and also, if you want to see driving impressions, I'll include the link to the review on this Aviator, and then I am going to be doing a review on this Explorer ST, so I'll post that review first before I post this video, so you can see driving impressions on both of the cars alongside this video. I'll put those in the description below as well. Okay, so let's do the hood latch thing in the Explorer Aviator. Oh, what? Did I already make... Whoops, I didn't say they're the same car. Okay, well, let's go to the other one. It's got to be, the hood mechanism's got to be different because they're two completely different cars, right? I mean, it's a Lincoln versus a Ford. Oh, it's the same. Okay. Okay, now let's raise the hood on the Lincoln. Nice. Now let's go over to the Explorer ST and... Oh. Well, it's got a hood prop. Good job, Lincoln. Now we've got the hoods raised on both of these, and I mean, things have got to be completely different because these are two completely different cars, right? So we have a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission here on the ST, 400 horsepower, 415 pound-feet of torque. Now, if we go over to the Aviator, we again have a 3-liter twin-turbo V6, 10-speed automatic transmission, 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. So 15 pound-feet of torque more for the Explorer compared to the Aviator, but same engine, same transmission, just a little bit different on the tuning. And both of them all-wheel drive systems, and both of them are rear-wheel drive based with sending power to the front wheels once they kind of slip out. So they've both gone to like a rear-wheel drive type deal on them. So far, other than the hood prop on the Explorer ST, they're looking pretty similar. Now on the front end of the Explorer, we've got the Ford logo with the ST logo all blacked out, and it says Explorer at the top. We have these LED lights with LED accent lights that go up there, and then you can see the lighting cluster just down below. Parking sensors all along the front on this, so you can kind of look, the front end on this is pretty bulbous and imposing in general. And then if we pop over to the Aviator, you can see again full LED lights. You've got LED accent lights, so the design language is a little bit different. Still have a big imposing grille with the Lincoln logo, and then you've got lighting just down below for the fog lights, parking sensors. But you can kind of see they look different on the exterior, but if you look at kind of like the general shape, this is a little bit boxier, this is kind of more rounded off, but the size on them is pretty close between the two. Now, on the rim setup with the Explorer, you can kind of see first that there is the plastic fender that goes around, 20-inch alloy rims, 255mm tires front and rear. And then on the Lincoln, we have these nice machine kind of finished again. Alloy wheels look absolutely fantastic. 22s always look good. 275mm in the front and the rear, so you can see the tire setup on the Lincoln a little bit wider, and then the fenders, they aren't as large. You can kind of see that the fender's just that little black piece, whereas on this it's this much larger black piece. So I guess the Lincoln's winning on that side. We've got this little trim with the chrome trim down the side, and then this, but it's black trim. But you can see right here looks pretty much identical between the Lincoln and the Explorer. I mean, if I like spun around a bunch, you guys at this angle, other than seeing the 22-inch rims, probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two vehicles. And actually, I don't think they offer that brown color on the Fords. But anyways, let's head to the back now. Here is our key fob for the Ford Explorer. So you can see ST on the back, since this is an ST. You got your lock, unlock, remote start, tailgate release function. So if we press that and then start it up, you can hear that 3-liter twin-turbo V6 come to life, or you just hear me talking. Here's your key fob for the Lincoln badge on the back. You can see it's got all the same functions: remote start, lock and unlock, tailgate release. So if you press lock, press that twice, that'll again start up the same 3-liter twin turbo V6. And the exhaust tips look identical between the two cars. Crazy. So now we're going to be doing the tailgate function, so let's press that twice. Oh, let's press it again. There we go. It'll open up the tailgate on the Explorer ST. Oh, I pressed it too many times and now it did the hold function. User error, okay? User error, there's nothing wrong with the car. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. So you can see that the rear will open and we can look at the storage space back here. Third row is folded down, but you've got this little kind of panel thing back here in the Explorer ST, and then you've got all the rubber floor mats, third row, and then you can fold down or up the seats via these controls on the side. You get a little 12-volt right there, but just kind of remember this whole setup back here. So when we go over the Lincoln, oh, and then buttons up here, so you can lower down the tailgate or you can lock the car, the rest of the car basically from that button. So we'll just lower down the tailgate. Now we won't fail with user error on the Lincoln this time. Press that just once. Tailgate will open up. And if we come back here, this third row just happens to be up. But you can see you've got little latch things there. And then you got 12-volt, and then to lower down the seats button looks a little bit different. This storage area is different though, you can see. Doesn't have like the random holes in the side. But yeah, I mean, in general, you can kind of see the whole setup of the back here. And then if we look at the tailgate, it's just on the opposite side, but you've got your lock still and then the lowering button for the tailgate. Now you can see stylistically here, we've got these lights that kind of look like they're borrowed from the Expedition, so full LEDs there. They look really nice. Like I said, got your quad outlet exhausts, got little receiver hitch, parking sensors all in the rear. You've got a spoiler at the top, so that's kind of the styling on the Explorer. And then if we come over to the Lincoln, everything is kind of more rounded off, so you've got this really cool light bar that goes along the whole back side. Tow package would be under that bezel. Quad tip exhaust still, got little parking sensors at the bottom, and then you can see the reflectors there versus on the Explorer. It's even hard to see on the Explorer. The ones on the Explorer are very, very small compared to the ones on the Lincoln. But like I said, kind of design on the Lincoln's more rounded off. The Ford is kind of boxier, kind of like more with sharp edges essentially compared to the Lincoln. Now we're gonna come to the back of the Explorer ST. So let's look at the door panel here. So we've got leather with stitching here. You've got some nice trim in general. We've got one of the speakers for the sound system, another speaker right there. And then we can see this one's got the captain chair set up, which you can see you can fold down the chair. You've got your climate controls here for the rear, power outlets, all that. And then you've got your little cup holders in the back. You've got sunshades back here as well. You can see all the vents throughout the ceiling. And then you guys can see just up above the full panoramic sunroof that comes over into this third row as well. So really solid setup here on the Explorer. Oh, and also, you can kind of see the legroom there with the third row, even though it's folded down. The Aviator's got those weird door handles where you got to click on them. It's all electronic. And you can see the door panel here on the Aviator. So full leather still. You've got some black trim. Styling on the speakers is a little bit different. Electronic door release for the door handle, and then you've got nice black trim. So overall, the door materials so far look a little bit nicer. This one has the bench seat set up on it. So you've got this little middle seat with the little pop-out cup holders if they'll pop out for me. There we go. The leather on this feels softer than the leather on the Explorer. And then you can see the whole setup here is all digital display charging stations. So just definitely look-wise on the interior, definitely looks more premium. Still get the sunshades, still get the panoramic sunroof. And then to unlock it, you just have to put your hand on the back of the door handle. And you can see the door panel for the front's gonna look identical to the one in the rear, so same stitching and leather. You see the speakers for the sound system, memory seat function, your lock and unlock, all of your window controls, and then it does have power folding mirrors, so you can press that button to fold them out if you want. See this other speaker for the sound system. And then the seats, you can feel them kind of like tougher with the leather. It does say ST on the back, which is neat. All of your controls for the seats, full power. That hood latch, it's identical in both of them. You can see the pedal layout just down below. Steering wheel is fully power adjustable, and then you can see all of the light controls right here. That's your tailgate release. Now on the Lincoln here, you've got the electronic doors, and you do still get the leather on the door panel, so you can see this kind of looks like the same one as the rear. There's a little bit more leather padding up here. Speakers definitely look cooler than in the Explorer. The power adjustments for the seat are on the door panel, whereas the Explorer is on the side of the seat. You remember, memory seats right here, and then you've got your window controls, more of that black trim, mirror controls, everything, so you can like power fold in and out the mirrors if you want, lock and unlock. And then front seats, way cooler on the Lincoln, and obviously way more adjustability. I mean, it's got these separate little bolsters here. That's cool. But leather, again, is much softer on the Lincoln. I like the style of these seats, and the red stitching, that's sporty. That should be on the Explorer. You can see the hood latch, pedal layout, and then you've got all of your light controls right here. So this kind of is switch gears all the same, and power adjustable steering wheel, so that looks pretty similar. Well, now that we're in the Explorer, let's start it up. So just put our foot on the brake, push that push start that happens to be right there. Whole gauge cluster system will set up. Tell me I'm low on fuel per usual. Let's pop into this Aviator interior. Whoop, really easy to get in and out of. Push start is up top right there. Steering wheel will adjust. Gives you Lincoln's little chime. Let's look at the controls here on the steering wheel. So all of your Bluetooth phone controls, and then the controls for the center screen right there. And then you've got a bunch of controls for the cruise control. It does have like adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, all the normal safety tech, and then your volume controls. You do get little paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel to shift that 10-speed automatic by yourself. You see white stitching, and then the steering wheel, so kind of like softer leather here, grippier leather right there, and then it does say ST right there at the bottom of the steering wheel. Here's the steering wheel for the Lincoln, so you can see the leather on this feels and looks a lot nicer, especially the padding right there in the center with the Lincoln logo. Black trim looks really nice. A lot of you noted that there's a button you can illuminate all of these controls here for the cruise control settings, so yep, that's some new stuff that I learned. And then you've got all of your controls for the little center stack right here, Bluetooth regular controls, volume controls as well, and then you still get little paddle shifters. They look identical to the one on the Explorer with those paddle shifters on the back, and then those little voice command controls right up here. I think that's an interesting placement. Here is the gauge cluster in the Explorer ST, and you can see that it's got these little menus that you can go through. So if I press menu button there, that'll change, and you can go through these little menu tidbits on it essentially. So pretty configurable, and it's like a cool setup. And if you go through the different drive modes, I'll show that shortly, it'll kind of change how the screen looks. This is cool, by the way. This is like a tab, so you can see that as you use it, it changes. It's like a little screen. I think that's awesome. More manufacturers should have steering wheels like this that Lincoln has made, but you can see that you've got a bunch of different little screens you can scroll through basically, so you can go to your music, your phone, navigation, any of that stuff, and that'll change what shows on the screens. And you can see how the gauges. This looks a lot more configurable in general compared to the Explorer, and I just like the setup of it in general. I think it just looks nicer and more premium. Here's the center touchscreen on the Explorer ST. You can see some really cool functions on it. Got your little like home screen button right there, but really responsive. It's almost like they just took an iPad and just threw it into the dash. But you can see your navigation function right there, and if you go over to the settings tab, so here's a bunch of stuff you can customize, ambient lighting. If you go to the seats, there we go. If you go to the seats here, you can see that you can change stuff on the seats, and they do have massaging function. Now I'm getting a massage while I'm going over the features with you on the vehicle, but you can see all these different applications you can use. And if we pop the Explorer into reverse, you can see a camera system will pop up, so you get like a little bird's eye view camera, trajectory lines as well, and then you can see that I can switch between a couple different camera views, so it gives me a bunch of different angles on the Explorer. Now here's your touchscreen. Now instead of like an iPad like put in the center, it's kind of like an iPad put on its side, but very responsive touchscreen time. You can see that everything pretty much happens instantaneously, and you can see all the functions that this has on it. Lincoln way, that's cool. But you still get the massaging seats, which, I mean, we always have to turn this on for every single review. Let's do like full recovery. I've been filming all day, need some help there. Ambient lighting, but yeah, you can see in general, very responsive, tons of functions, and then luxury features in general. And if we pop this into reverse, which is that button right there, see the camera system will pop up, so you get like a full 360 camera, trajectory lines, all of that, so it gives you like bird's eye view. And then you can see you can pop between a couple of the different camera views here, and you can see those camera views are identical to the ones on the Explorer. Just below here you've got a little thing for the parking sensor. I think it's cool. It shows a cone, your camera system, volume controls, and then dual zone climate, heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel up front, and then there is a climate for the rear passengers. And then if we pull up this up, you can see there's little charging stations in that area. And then we've got our cup holders. Now let's go over this whole setup. Like I said, this is your shifter to go into the different gears. And then you've got your analog controls for the radio, all of your controls for the climate setup. It does have a rear climate, just like in the Explorer, heated, cooled seats, all of that. That whole setup, and it's cool because when you press stuff, by the way, it pops up on the screen right here. So pretty much anything that you press will just instantly pop up, so you can go and start playing with the touchscreen if you want, which I think is a neat thing in the Lincoln. This is your gear selector, and you do have the manual mode if you want to shift the gears yourself with the little paddle shifters. Your parking brake, and then you can see you've got your hold on right now, and then parallel and perpendicular parking assistance, your hill descent control, traction control, auto stop start, and then your drive modes, which those will pop up right here on this screen. So you can see that you can scroll between the different drive modes. You got your Eco, Sport, and see how that changes the whole like gauge cluster setup. So now the gauges are a little bit more aggressive because you're in the Sport mode, and it shows you the RPMs because that's going to be important in Sport mode. But all the different drive modes you can go through, tow haul mode, but it basically changes the screen based on what you're doing. And these are all the drive modes that the Explorer ST has. I wish that more manufacturers would release kind of different looking gauges depending on the drive mode you're in, rather than just popping up like a Sport button. We have some extra storage here. You can see a little charging station right there, but this you can fully cover up, which is nice. Cup holders, and you got your parking brake. You got your different drive modes, and I love how Lincoln names their drive modes. So you can see that you've got your conserve, normal, oops, slippery, deep conditions as well, and then there's excite for responsive and engaging driving, and it changes the gauge cluster setup depending on what drive mode you go in, transmission, all that kind of stuff. But I just think it's funny how they describe the drive modes with the Lincolns. Wireless charging is right here, and then we've got our center console. You can see there's a ton of storage space. There's this little cubby on the top. You can pull out charging station in there with a little light, but really solid in general on that. And while we're on storage, let's pop over here to the glove box. You can see that's got a decent amount of storage. There's no lining on the glove box or anything like that. I'm mentioning that because I'm sure it'll be on the Aviator. And then you can see the trim up here with the carbon fiber. Looks pretty cool. You got the center console here, fully padded with leather, tons of storage. Your wireless charging is right there, by the way, in this center console. And then we can pop over to the glove box, lined with felt, unlike the Explorer, and you can look at the dash above it. The leather, the wood trim, all of that, a lot more premium compared to the Explorer. The black trim, just everything looks nicer in terms of interior materials on the Lincoln, which is expected. It's the luxury brand. Up top here, revolver controls for the sunroof, little sunglass holder right there, universal garage door openers, and like I said before, it's a full panoramic sunroof, so lets a ton of light into the cabin. They've got little microphones for the Bluetooth. Now we've got our little sunglass holder up here. We've got all of our controls for the panoramic sunroof, universal garage door openers as well, and you can see that you've got like a bigger speaker all the way up there. Now let's talk about pricing with the two vehicles. This one stickers for just over $75,000, whereas that one stickers for just over $58,000. So similar performance figures, similar luxury features. It's just the difference is really badging and materials on the inside. So that just kind of depends on what you value. And what I mean by that is if you just want performance and luxury features, go for the Explorer. But if you want performance, luxury features, and you want a nicer interior, then that's when you're going to go for the Lincoln, because it's going to give you the smoother drive, the nicer interior. Everything is going to be a little bit nicer compared to the Explorer. Now, if I had my pick, I wish I could take the seats out of the Lincoln and throw them in the Explorer, and then the Explorer would be perfect just for my taste. But in terms of a value, $58,000 versus $75,000, the Explorer is definitely a better value, especially the performance. And you still get massaging seats, you still get heated cool seats, you still get all the safety tech. Everything is pretty much the same technology-wise. So value-wise, I feel like it is a better value compared to the Lincoln if you take away the fact that the Lincoln's a luxury brand and there's not that many of them out there. So really, to sum things up, I'm going to go with the Explorer on this one. Leave down in the comment section below what you feel like. If you feel like the Lincoln is overall a better car, just let me know. And that is going to wrap things up for today's video. Thank you everyone so much for watching. And again, a big shout out and thank you to Larry H. Miller Ford Lincoln here in Draper, Utah for providing us with the vehicles so I can compare them side to side. I'll leave a link to their inventory in the description below. Like I said, if you're stopping in for the first time, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe, comment down below what you thought, and then I will see all of you in that next video.